So buckle up because this is going to be absolutely unreal, and we're about to visit every major European capital city by water. And I'm not talking about some boring trip where you wave at the coastline from a distance. No, we are pulling this massive ship directly into the heart of these cities, like right there, walking distance from the most legendary landmarks on the entire planet. We're talking London, we're talking Amsterdam, we're talking Copenhagen, all connected by one single insane voyage that makes 0 stops at random middle-of-nowhere ports. And here's the craziest part. While everyone else is stuck in airports losing their minds over delayed flights and lost luggage, we are literally sipping drinks on a deck watching history float past us like it's a movie. Now you might be wondering, what actually makes this cruise different from every other European sailing out there? And that is a fair question because the cruise market is packed with options. But here is where this route completely changes the game. Most traditional cruises drop you off at a coastal town, somewhere charming, sure, but nowhere near the actual capital. Then you are looking at a 2 or 3 hour bus ride just to catch a glimpse of the city center before rushing back to the ship. That is not experiencing a capital. That is a postcard moment at best. This route was engineered from the ground up with one specific goal, to get you as close as humanly possible to the political and cultural heart of each European capital. We are talking walking distance, metro rides, or at most a quick high-speed train. Ocean luxury meets genuine urban immersion, and nothing else on the market delivers both like this. Lisbon does not ease you in gently. It pulls you in completely. The ship sails directly up the Tagus River, one of the longest rivers on the Iberian Peninsula, giving passengers a breathtaking approach into the Portuguese capital. As you glide along the water, the city reveals itself slowly, like turning the pages of a history book. You dock within walking distance of the legendary Alfama district, Lisbon's oldest neighborhood, where narrow cobblestone streets wind between terracotta rooftops and the sound of soulful fado music drifts through the air. Just a short stroll away stands the magnificent Eiffel Tower, a 16th century fortress that once watched explorers like Vasco da Gama sail toward the unknown. Step off the ship, and within minutes you are surrounded by pastel-colored buildings, stunning Portuguese tile work. Now here is where the route gets genuinely clever. Madrid, as any geography enthusiast knows, sits right in the heart of the Iberian Peninsula, completely landlocked and nowhere near the ocean. So how does a cruise that promises capital city access actually deliver on Madrid? This is where the itinerary shows its ingenuity. Rather than skipping Spain's capital entirely, the ship docks at Valencia, a stunning coastal city on the Mediterranean with its own remarkable culture and architecture worth exploring. From there, passengers board a high-speed rail connection, and within under 2 hours, they are pulling into Madrid's Atocha station, right in the center of the Spanish capital. The transition feels remarkably seamless. You wake up on the ship, enjoy breakfast on deck, and by mid-morning you are standing in the Prado Museum or strolling through the Grand Plaza Mayor. It genuinely does not feel like a workaround at all. It feels intentional, elegant, and honestly quite exciting. From the Spanish coast, the ship glides gracefully into the Mediterranean, beginning one of the most emotionally stirring legs of the entire journey. The route takes passengers through the Gulf of Lion and into the mouth of the Seine River, where the French countryside begins to unfold like a living painting on both sides of the vessel. Rolling green hills, quiet villages, and ancient stone bridges slowly give way to the unmistakable skyline of Paris. And then it happens. Rising above the rooftops, the Eiffel Tower appears on the horizon, growing taller and more magnificent with every passing minute. Passengers gather along the railings, phones out, hearts full, completely speechless. The ship continues navigating deeper into the city center, passing riverside cafes and grand Haussmann boulevards, before finally docking just steps away from the Notre Dame Cathedral. Paris does not greet you. Paris reveals itself to you, slowly and deliberately. From the romantic waterways of Paris, our journey carries us northward to one of Europe's most naturally cruise-friendly capitals, Amsterdam, Netherlands. What makes this stop truly special is that Amsterdam was essentially built for arrivals like this. The city's extraordinary network of over 100 canals weaves through every neighborhood, making water travel feel completely native to the Dutch experience. Our ship glides into the central passenger terminal, and almost immediately you realize how perfectly positioned everything is. Dam Square is just minutes away on foot. The Anne Frank House, where one of history's most powerful stories unfolded, sits within easy walking distance. The world-renowned Rijksmuseum, home to masterpieces by Rembrandt and Vermeer, is practically around the corner. Unlike some capital stops requiring transfers or planning, Amsterdam simply opens itself up to you the moment you step off the gangway. This is European exploration at its most effortless and rewarding. Leaving Amsterdam behind, the ship turns north, cutting through the North Sea toward one of Scandinavia's most beloved capitals, Copenhagen, Denmark. As the vessel glides into the harbor, the first thing that catches your eye is the burst of color lining the waterfront. Those iconic red, yellow, and ochre facades of Nijmegen Canal greet you like a postcard come to life. And just along the waterfront, sitting quietly on her rock, is the famous Little Mermaid statue, one of Denmark's most treasured symbols. It is a genuinely moving moment seeing her from the water, exactly as she was meant to be seen. Once docked, passengers are just minutes away from Tivoli Gardens, one of the world's oldest amusement parks. The winding Nijmegen Canal lined with restaurants and jazz bars, and the magnificent royal palaces of Amalienborg and Christiansborg. Copenhagen is remarkably compact, making it perfect for exploring on foot or by bicycle, which feels entirely fitting for this famously cycle-loving city, placing passengers steps away from centuries of Scandinavian history. And the energy on board shifts as passengers sense something truly extraordinary is approaching. Stockholm, Sweden, is not just another port stop. It is a city unlike any other on this entire journey. Built across 14 islands where Lake Mälaren meets the Baltic Sea, Stockholm is arguably the most spectacular capital city in the world to arrive at by water. As the ship enters the Stockholm archipelago, the landscape transforms into something almost dreamlike. Thousands of small rocky islands, some barely large enough to hold a single red cottage, drift past on either side. Pine trees, granite cliffs, and glassy water stretch endlessly in every direction. Leaving Stockholm behind, the cruise glides eastward across the calm Baltic Sea toward Helsinki, Finland. And the arrival here is something truly special. As the ship enters the South Harbor, the first thing that comes into view is the gleaming white dome of the Helsinki Cathedral, rising majestically above the waterfront like a beacon welcoming you in. The ship docks directly in front of the market square, which means the moment you step off, you are already in the heart of the city. No transfers, no waiting, just instant immersion. The market square is alive with vendors selling fresh Baltic fish, handmade crafts, and local berries. Helsinki is one of the most compact capital cities in all of Europe, meaning nearly everything worth seeing is within comfortable walking distance from the dock. It is effortlessly navigable, beautifully designed, and surprisingly underrated as a European capital destination. Leaving Helsinki behind, the ship makes a dramatic turn toward the Baltic states, and the first stop is Tallinn, Estonia, a destination that genuinely surprises first-time visitors. What makes Tallinn extraordinary is how effortlessly accessible it is from the cruise terminal. Within minutes of stepping off the ship, you are standing at the entrance of one of the best-preserved medieval old towns in all of Europe. The cobblestone streets wind upward past Gothic spires and centuries-old merchant houses. The city walls, some dating back to the 13th century, still stand tall and largely intact, wrapping around the old town like a protective embrace frozen in time. Walking through Tallinn feels less like sightseeing and more like wandering into a living fairy tale. Towers, turrets, and timber-framed buildings greet you at every corner. And to think, just hours ago you were sailing open Baltic waters. That contrast alone makes Tallinn one of the most unforgettable stops on this entire journey. Leaving Tallinn behind, the cruise pushes further into the Baltic states, arriving next in Riga, Latvia. Unlike Vilnius, Riga enjoys the remarkable advantage of being directly accessible by river, allowing the ship to sail right into the city along the Daugava River. Passengers wake up to stunning riverside views before stepping ashore into one of Europe's most underrated capitals. Riga's streets are an absolute feast for the eyes, boasting the largest collection of Art Nouveau architecture anywhere in the world. Every building tells a story of ambition, artistry, and resilience. Now, Vilnius requires a short scenic coach transfer from the Baltic coast, but trust me, that ride is absolutely worth every minute. Rolling through the Lithuanian countryside before arriving in this beautifully preserved medieval capital feels like unwrapping a gift slowly. Both cities carry deep Soviet history alongside thriving food markets and contemporary restaurant scenes that deliver a cultural flavor entirely unlike anything experienced at the journey's Western European stops. And this cruise gives you both. And this next stretch introduces two fascinating inland capitals, Ljubljana, Slovenia, and Zagreb, Croatia. Now, neither city sits on the water, but this cruise has that covered. Through carefully arranged partnerships with local transport providers, passengers enjoy fully immersive day trips into both capitals, complete with guided tours, local meals, and curated cultural experiences that feel anything but rushed. While those excursions unfold, the ship docks at two genuinely spectacular coastal gems. Koper, Slovenia's only coastal city, charms visitors with its Venetian architecture and relaxed Mediterranean atmosphere. Then comes Split, Croatia, where a Roman emperor literally built his retirement palace, and today people live, dine, and shop inside its ancient walls. From the Adriatic, the route carries the ship into the deep blue waters of the Aegean, arriving at the legendary port of Piraeus. This harbor has served as the maritime gateway to Athens for over 2,500 years, and stepping off the ship here carries a weight that is genuinely difficult to put into words. Ancient merchants, philosophers, and warriors once arrived exactly as you do now, by sea, looking toward the same hills in the distance. A short metro ride of roughly 20 minutes connects Piraeus directly to the city center, making the transition from ship to capital remarkably smooth. As you ascend toward the Acropolis, the Parthenon gradually rising above the rooftops, the knowledge that you sailed here rather than flew creates an entirely different emotional connection to this ancient city. Athens does not just feel visited. It feels earned, approached the way it was always meant to be approached, from the water. Leaving the ancient glory of Athens behind, the ship sets course for Italy, heading toward the port of Civitavecchia, Rome's gateway to the sea. The moment you step off the gangway, a dedicated express train whisks you directly into the heart of the Eternal City in under an hour. No stress, no confusion, just pure anticipation. And what a city awaits you. The Vatican leaves you breathless, its art and architecture representing centuries of human devotion and creativity. The Colosseum stands as a raw, powerful reminder of an empire that once ruled the known world. And the Trevi Fountain, especially after dark, feels almost magical. Here is what makes this stop truly special. The cruise has deliberately scheduled a full day and evening in Rome, so as the sun sets and the golden light washes over ancient stone, you are still there, soaking every extraordinary moment in. Of every emotionally powerful arrival on this route, Venice consistently leaves passengers speechless, tearful, and utterly transformed. And what comes next is arguably the single most breathtaking arrival of the entire journey. Venice. There is simply nothing else like it on Earth. As the ship begins its approach, the city slowly emerges from the water like a dream refusing to end. You are not pulling into a port beside a city. You are gliding directly into the city itself. St. Mark's Square appears to your left, the Doge's palace rising in golden stone against the morning sky. Gondolas drift past ancient palazzos. Church bells echo across the lagoon. Every passenger on deck falls completely silent. Nobody reaches for their phone immediately, and Budapest becomes an unforgettable final chapter of this remarkable river stretch. As the ship transitions onto the Danube River, one of Europe's greatest waterways, carrying passengers deep into the heart of Central Europe. First comes Vienna, Austria. Docking along the Danube, passengers step into a city dripping with imperial grandeur. The Schönbrunn Palace, the Vienna State Opera, and the sound of classical music drifting through cobblestone streets create an atmosphere unlike anywhere else on this entire route. Then, continuing along the very same river, Budapest appears. The ship itself breathes European culture at every turn, making every moment on board feel like a seamless extension of the journey unfolding outside your window. The dining alone is worth the journey. Every restaurant on board rotates menus inspired by each country on the route. One evening you're savoring Portuguese bacalhau, the next you're enjoying Viennese schnitzel, or fresh Venetian seafood risotto. The culinary team sources authentic recipes and local ingredients at every port stop. Beyond dining, the cultural enrichment programs are genuinely remarkable. Historians and local experts board at various ports to deliver fascinating lectures about each destination. You're not just visiting these cities, you're deeply understanding them. Evenings come alive with live performances, from flamenco dancers in the Mediterranean lounge to Nordic folk musicians performing as you sail through the Baltic, giving you the best possible version of every single stop along this remarkable route. The full route spans approximately 6 to 8 weeks, covering every destination we have walked you through from Lisbon all the way to Budapest. That is a serious commitment, and the cruise operators know that. So they have built in flexible boarding and disembarkation points at major stops along the way, meaning you can join in Amsterdam and exit in Athens, or board in Copenhagen and leave in Venice. You design your own chapter of this story. As for cost, interior cabins start around $3,000 per person for a 2-week segment, while premium balcony suites on the full route can reach $20,000 or beyond. And timing matters enormously here. It is about who you discover them with. The people who have actually lived this journey say it best. Margaret and Robert, both in their late 60s, had spent decades dreaming of Europe, but always felt overwhelmed by the logistics. Booking flights between cities, managing hotel check-ins, coordinating trains across multiple countries. It felt exhausting just thinking about it. This cruise changed everything for them. They told me that waking up each morning in a new capital, with their bags already there and breakfast waiting, made the whole dream finally feel possible. Then there is a group of 8 solo travelers who boarded at different ports and ended up forming a travel family by the time they reached Venice. They now meet every year somewhere in Europe, a friendship born entirely on the water. And here we are, sailing into the golden hour, with the sun melting into the horizon and another extraordinary European city fading beautifully behind us. This journey has been more than a cruise. It has been a reminder that how you arrive somewhere shapes everything about how you experience it. When you sail into a city, you do not just check in at an airport and grab a taxi. You watch it emerge slowly from the water, growing larger and more magnificent with every passing minute. That moment belongs only to you. From Lisbon to Budapest, from Stockholm to Athens, every arrival by sea carried an emotional weight that no flight ever could. If you have been dreaming of Europe, we genuinely encourage you to rethink your approach. Do not just visit these cities. Arrive at them. Let the water carry you there. Because some journeys are not just about the destination. They are about the feeling of getting there. Safe travels, everyone.